Alrighty, welcome back to the Boardcast. Hopefully we're more rested from last time.
Hello.
Did you get much sleep this time, Danny?
I stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning to watch my team lose their second last game of the season. So feeling pretty good about that.
I am back. I am back.
Where'd you go?
I didn't go anywhere. I was just having a house renovation, so I didn't manage to be on the last episode.
Nice. Did you listen back on it? You usually don't listen to our episodes.
I listen on back on it because this is the only one that I missed. Because if we're recording, I'm listening, right? So I don't want to go through the same conversation again.
And we thought William wouldn't hear our smack talk.
Yeah, I said nothing incriminating at all.
So renovations, right, in your home?
Yeah, so small renovation, changing the carpets into hard flooring. So it's a pain.
So as a callback to last week's podcast, you were also sick of carpets. See, it all comes back around.
Yes.
Does it make Eternal Magic more efficient now? Is it for the work?
Not really. Eternal Magic is in my office, so it's not in the rooms.
Now when he drops the cards all over the floor, they're going to slip under things instead of getting caught by them.
That's right.
That's how we sort cards on all the boards, right? If it goes under the table, I'll just never see it again. It can't hurt me.
Until you move the furniture, then you're just like, oh, this mythic rare.
It's the kitchen, the process where you just push it under with your foot and hopefully it never comes back out again.
Exactly. It's with the cockroaches now.
Whoa, what are you talking about, man?
All right. So I just want to start off today's cast by let's talk about appreciating our Patreon members.
Yeah.
Right. I think this is the first thing we should do. You guys support us and we want to acknowledge you. So Danny, what are numbers at right now?
So technically we're at 10 Patreon members, except we're only at 9 Patreon members because somehow William signed up as a free member, which I don't know how he did that or how to stop that happening.
William wants a t-shirt as well.
Oh, is it? I could sign up as free? I don't. There is a free option and then there's a paid option.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to figure out how that works and then remove that free option. So we're officially at 9.
Awesome.
So your mate Nick from One Piece, he signed up last week.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Nick.
Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Is he like a regular for One Piece?
Yeah, he is. He's a very good player as well. So yeah.
Is he part of one of the teams you've got?
Yes, he's in the PX3 team, which is the Perth Pro players.
Nice.
Very, very amazing team. So I think what we can do is, I think we're going to be really close to our first short-term goal, which is 10 members.
Yeah.
So we just need one more. If you could sign up, we'll make it to.
I know you'll sign on and it'll look like 10, but it's actually 9. Thanks to Will.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize that.
Well, I got really excited. I was like, oh yes, 10, we've done it. And I look and I was like, wait a second.
We're already more structured right now with William back, right? The last episode started us off with absolutely zero planning.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's what's it called? What's that word called? Ad hoc.
Very ad hoc.
I think I have the cockiness to think that most of the things I produce are fantastic. So as long as I can keep that mindset, we're all good to go.
Welcome. Good to have you back, William. Welcome back.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
You did miss our episode 10 special, though.
How special is special?
Well, it was special.
Yeah, we were sleep deprived. We were louder than normal. I looked at the editing software after I uploaded it, and I was like, everything was peaking. All the audio was all over the place.
Oh,
do you know, William, we moved it to Thursday because you wanted to move it to Thursday. And I didn't sleep for 24.5 hours, so we could do that on Thursday for you. And then you moved it, and I was like, fuck you, William.
Yeah, I had a delay on one of my renovations, which caused more issues and which is a bummer because I was expecting it to be done a day earlier, and then it took a day more, so kind of destroyed my whole timetable as well. So it's crazy.
After we finished the podcast, I went and picked my truck back up and then delivered back in the city at 2 o'clock in the morning, finished there at 3, went home and went to sleep. And I managed to get sleep till about 9 and then went to work after that. But that was, with no exaggeration, 24.5 hours of doing stuff. But I do feel good about it. I did stuff with the restaurant. I did stuff with the truck. I did stuff with Northern Boards. I worked that Thursday shift and we did the podcast. So I touched a little bit of every single thing that I'm doing right now.
Let's
go.
go.
Felt pretty accomplished that day. My sleepiness didn't feel as accomplished, but before we wrap off on the Patreons, we have 2 other additional patrons, which would bring us to 9. So we've got Lewis, who plays Warhammer Fantasy. Thanks so much,
go.
Lewis.
Thank you.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. He's a good bloke. He's smashed me into the ground a few weeks ago with his Orcs and Goblins. So, I appreciate the money. Don't appreciate the getting murdered. And then we've got our Connor P from 40K, who plays in our 40K leagues and stuff like that as well.
Welcome
He
in.
signed up.
Welcome.
It's pretty interesting. Like the spread of people who are listening at the moment to the podcast is more wide and varied than I thought it'd be. A few mates of mine who don't do any of the hobby stuff, who clearly just like found it because I keep sharing it to them on Facebook and stuff like that. And they, I don't know if it's out of pity or out of interest, but they're into it. And a few guys, that I know through small business things like that, they're also listening as well. I think I mentioned last week. I always spruik everything I do, So when I'm at a building site, I'm like, hey, like I'm nearby, I'm like, hey, come buy burgers from my place. I was like, I guilt them into coming. With the podcast is one of the first ones where, I mentioned them like, hey, you should listen to my podcast. And they're like, what is it about? I'm like, you just try it out, see how you go. And then if you like it, you keep on with it. It's fine.
I've had a couple of friends from my high school that I don't really keep in touch with. And one of them messaged me out of nowhere and it was like, hey, this is your name on it. Is this you? And I was like, yes.
Is Kang like, I don't know, a small, like a not as used enough name here?
Not
it's
really.
not very common.
Not common.
No.
Not common at all.
So-
Not common.
So like usually, if someone sees Kang, it's just me. So or a Marvel character.
That's pretty impressive though. Like my name is like Daniel, and then I have 3 other very first white names. My last name is Andrew. So my first name is Daniel. Last name is Andrew. Like it's the most basic of names that you can possibly find. So I think having a Kang, a cool individual name is pretty interesting.
Well, it was gonna get way more common with the new Marvel saga, right? The Marvel villain. Kang.
Suppose.
In 15 years, there'll be heaps of kids called Kang, just like there's heaps of kids called Daenerys right now.
Oh, mate. So you were mentioning a while back that something about 3 hours of sleep, right? And like you just hit that, like you just finish that REM cycle and you're good.
Yeah.
I think you want something. Because every time I've been on that, like just sleep for 3 hours, get up to a thing, sleep for 3 hours, get up to a thing.
So it's not sustainable if you just get 3 hours every day, but 3 to 3.5 hours is a regular REM cycle for the average human being. Right. So if you hit those, and it's like the thing is, if you go over that 3 hours and then you go into that 4th hour and then you get woken up mid-cycle, and that's when you feel really groggy and like busted out. There was a big thing. It's hard to explain it exactly, but for for hundreds of years previous to electricity, people would get up in the middle of the night and have something called like midnight dinner. So they'd go to sleep early when the sun would go down, talking about like America and England, stuff like that. You'd have dinner, you go to sleep, and then you'd wake up roughly around midnight to 1 o'clock. You'd be up for an hour or two, and then you'd go back to sleep and you'd be splitting up. And that was very, very common. And just because it would get cold at that very peak time of night, you want to be back asleep and ready to go for usually when the temperature dips at the most at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's pretty common.
Interesting.
So it's not uncommon for people to do.
I always figured, because I remember reading that like humans, like we weren't supposed to sleep in big 8 hour chunks. Like normally it's like you sleep for a little bit and you get around, do some stuff, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
I'll have like 3 hours of sleep and I'm good for the next 6 hours. And then only after that 6 hours when I start feeling like, I should go back to bed.
Yeah. I think
so.
Kids and females are generally speaking need to get between 7 and 9 hours sleep, but an average adult male can really push on with like 6 hours sleep every day. More is often better, and it will decreases things like aging and stress and stuff like that as well. But you've also got to be able to have that 8-9 hours uninterrupted sleep, because the moment that the sleep becomes interrupted, it's not proper sleep. So if you're that guy who puts in like 15 alarms and snoozes all of them to try and get up, you're kind of wasting that time anyway, because you're not getting any benefit from the sleep that you're looking for in the first place.
Oh, interesting.
You tune into the Northern Boards broadcast to listen to some bro science.
Yeah, I am 100% scientifically accurate.
Sleep science.
Don't Google it.
So I just want to like add on to today's podcast is One Piece Regionals is finally coming to Perth.
How come we were the last ones?
Because we're Perth.
Because we're Perth.
Man,
That's not really a
why
question.
can't we be
answering.
cooler?
So
Is there a date?
Yeah, there is a date confirmed already. So it's gonna be the week before this 25th. So I think it's on the. Let me check my calendar right now. I will check it out. It's in August, so it's gonna be.
It's pretty soon, right? Is that enough time for people to prepare?
Oh,
for the big
definitely,
championships?
easy. So it's gonna be 17 August to 18 August.
The weekend.
Interesting.
The weekend in Perth Convention. So we're gonna have it held in Perth Convention Center, which is a really good place for TCG. It's a big place. I think the cap is around, if I'm not mistaken, 250 6 or I think they're gonna aim for 384.
Oh, so they've actually announced that at the Perth
Wait,
Convention
over
Centre.
300 people.
Yeah, they want to be maybe want to hit. I'm not sure exactly on the maximum numbers, but we're looking at if it's following like other regions, it's like 384 top
Do you
max.
feel it's going to be a lot of Perth players? Or is
Oh,
other
definitely we
regions
can.
coming in?
We definitely need all the Perth players to play to make up for the numbers, and then hopefully from players from over east as well coming down. So we'll let them see like how much to fly over to Perth, because all this time is we fly to over east, and now they have to fly over to Perth.
Yeah,
which
now
is-
they got to suck and come to us.
so it's got a two-day event. So it's gonna be like Dragon Ball, Fusion World, Digimon, and One Piece as well.
So it's like a Bandai run, I think. More than
Oh
anything
yes,
else.
it's run by the tournament organizer is TAC Games, which organize all the One Piece, Dragon Ball, Digimon tournaments in
Where did TAC
in
Games
Australia,
come from?
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so they're gonna organize this event, and it's gonna be big. This event's gonna be one of the biggest event for One Piece for Perth. And this is really exciting for us because
You going to be playing?
oh definitely.
How much are they paying you to promote it, William?
Oh no, they were nothing. So what happened is we need to fill up the numbers, so that's why we want to promote it. And so if we fill up the numbers, then of course there's a chance of them coming back. So if we don't fill up the numbers, then of course Bandai is going to X us off from
With
the list.
with over 300 people, how do they organize the tournament structure? That's a lot of games. You're there all day,
Just
right?
9 rounds.
In one day?
Yeah.
Really? Is that enough?
And
of
then
a
day
cut?
2.
And then day 2.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Day 2 top cut.
So the events you've gone to over east, they've been run by these same people, I'm
Yeah,
assuming then.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing. We use BCP. It's pretty flawless.
Nice.
Yeah.
On the day that we went to Tokyo Alley a couple months or weeks ago, whatever it was, they were running the Pokemon event in the convention hall next
Yes,
to us at
that's
that
right.
time. So I think
Same
they
regionals.
roughly about 200-ish people there, I think.
Yes, correct. Yes. So the Pokemon Regionals was in Perth Convention as well. So
Yeah,
this one is going to be in Perth Convention as well. So it's going to be a good location.
August means it's going to be right in the middle of a set, right? Because we have the new set
Correct.
coming
It is
out
OP7.
in July.
Yes, it's OP7 set. So OP7 is the next set for One Piece.
I'm keen. I'm keen to see the tournament structure because there's a lot of people that play One Piece, and from what I gather, most people do tend to take the game fairly seriously. Like even the casual players go out and actually kind of tune their decks. 'cause
Yeah,
the game is played in
sure.
a competitive structure.
It is. The 1-on-1. You want to be like as good as possible. The prizes are great. I'm not sure what is the next regional pricing like, but currently the regional pricing for this season is pretty good.
Yeah, at the moment it seems like most tournaments have some pretty competitive prizes.
That's
as
right.
well.
Top 64, you get like a good card, and then top 16 and 8 is, of course, top 8 you get like the huge highest payout of cards.
A while back, because I did tune into the One Piece competitive scene a lot, but there was a big webcam tourney, right, a while back.
Oh, there's a lot of web.
That was like in the
every
hundreds,
month.
That was in the hundreds as well, right?
Yeah, as every season you get about maybe two to three webcam tournaments. So this Saturday as well, we have the Treasure Cup for One Piece online webcam tournament as well.
Is that structured by Bandai?
Same thing is there's only one TO.
I wonder if Bandai, from their sidelines, they just make the game. They're watching all these tournaments come out from the community scene. I wonder what they feel like. If they're like, oh shit, like look at this, what we've created. So, because Magic really have to push their own tournaments every time, right? They have their own
Yeah, I
pro
see what
league
you're saying.
structure.
Yeah.
So, and then like right now, Magic is struggling to kind of keep up that tournament scene. I don't see Magic, for example, filling like 300 people. For
This is the difference,
modern
right?
tournament.
So let's take Magic and One Piece. So Magic the Gathering is one of the oldest TCG card game in the world, and One Piece is this 1.5 year behemoth that's just coming up, right? So the difference between these two is, I've in my opinion, is the price card. So Bandai decided to go to the towards the price cards instead of like prize money. So Magic gives out prize money instead of prize cards, but they are switching it a little bit now. So if you see like the Eternal Weekend in Magic Con or whatever, they're giving out prize cards now, like
What were some of the examples of the cards that were handing out? Because
for Magic.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Brainstorm, the retro frame Brainstorm, the retro frame. There's a couple of retro frame stuff which is only like 8 in the world. There's no number, but currently there's only like 8.
There's not too many.
Yeah.
'Cause I think it's hard. There's like with the One Piece stuff, there's really high chase cards that are like the alternate arts, and that's what's really driving the price. I'm trying to think of what in Magic the Gathering that they can print that isn't on that reserve reserve list, that they can print that people really, really want. You know what I mean? Like what kind of chase cards do those exist that they can even tap into?
I feel like serial number, that's the one thing they can do.
Yeah.
The easiest and the fastest method to give out prize cards is to just give out serial numbers for tournaments.
I guess so. But even if you throw a serial number on a card that's pretty wildly, I don't know, like is that enough? Is that enough to drive the player base?
Oh, definitely. Look, so in MagicCon, if you go to MagicCon right now, so they're giving out secret layer serial numbers to random people. So if you're just walking around, this guy's coming up to you and it's like, hey, here.
Is that like when you get randomly checked at the airport?
So-
You're like,
so this guy
sir,
just-
over there, third in line. You're the random person.
Yeah, so they're just giving out to kids
You
and
also
whatever.
happen to be a content creator and well-known person.
There you
Oh
go.
no.
They're just giving out to kids or whoever.
Yeah.
So the kid will just get it and you just open and it's like a sword to plowshare.
The
like,
kid looks at it. This is cool. Starts chewing on it.
serial number swords. And then that serial number swords is like $700.
Well,
Yeah,
One Piece, they'll do like one-of-one art prints, right, for tournaments. Like you only get these versions of the arts in
In a
tournaments.
season.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why it spikes the price up because the collectability, right?
Correct.
And it
And,
doesn't really
it's like
print
a
new cards.
textured version of the foil. It's not just like a normal card. It's just like a very like fancy frame textured version of the card.
Because Flesh and Blood, what they do for their qualifying events is that when you qualify, you win like a gold foil. And the only way to get these gold foils is from like winning a qualifier. So hence these have the prestige of being like, if you have one, you've either like, you've bought it off someone for quite a bit of money or like you've won it. There's prestige to it.
Are they easily recognizable when you're playing a game and you see that card come
Yeah,
out?
quite recognizable.
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's just goldish, like a bronzy-ish gold kind of feel
It's
into
like
it.
the two sides of the coin, right? Because with the price structure of One Piece, it relies on that collectability of the game, the hype of the game. While I guess with Magic, it's a little more stable if it's a career because you're getting paid money, right? If you win a tournament, you just get paid money.
Yeah, but not enough.
Fair.
Yeah, I guess for it to be a career, it's got to be considered you making at least enough money to like cover your bills.
Yeah.
It's just weird for me that Magic the Gathering, that's a grandfathered in card game, can't seem to figure out
And
this stride with price structure.
Let me
Yeah.
add into it to what Magic, in my opinion, is right now. So if you notice like promos in Magic the Gathering, they're giving out promos like as if it means nothing.
Yeah,
We
we
do get
do
a lot of
receive a
promos.
lot of promos.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So if every store is getting a ton of promos, what does these promos mean? Like it means nothing. Then people's just gonna put in an auction store, like selling it on Facebook. It's just gonna be like hundreds and hundreds of like copies of these cards.
It's funny, like with the Magic promos, they have the Magic symbol stamped in the bottom left image of the picture, so that it's very identified as a promo now. It's pretty recent, I'd say, in the last few years, maybe 4 or 5 years, is when they started doing that. But you'll see that those versions of that card do tend to price down just a tiny bit because people know their promo instead of being absolutely identical in every other way, except this one's stamped as a promo instead of it being like a line card. You know what I mean? So it does tend to go down just a tiny bit.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm saying like with Magic is just that the amount, the quantity of the availability is so easy to get. It just drives the price down.
Yeah.
So the collectability on them is not there. So that's my take on Magic at the moment. It's a great game, that no doubt. It's just that how they manage the exclusivity of the cards.
Well, that's where the question is, like, is it too late for Magic to really get a handle of that?
No, not really.
They can release the coolest, rarest thing they want, but it's the player-driven price that pushes the One Piece above it.
Okay, let me give you an example of what Magic did recently that is correct. So if you have noticed, Secret Lair is like a alternative, it's a B2C version of how Magic sell cards directly to consumers. So Secret Lair is like an online platform where Magic sell directly, like reprints to consumers, like directly.
Yeah, so instead of buying boosters, obviously where you get a random selection of cards inside that, they tell you exactly what cards they're going to be. You buy that, you receive it within X amount of weeks.
Correct. So currently and recently, Secret Lair has been limited run. So
Now
like
it's
I think
timed windows to buy it, right?
yesterday night, there was a new Secret Lair release, which is the Hatsune Miku set, which is the Japanese anime singer, like a digital, like a virtual VR
all these
singer.
cards usually come in alternate arts. And
Correct.
this is when they get very creative and they get really out there with the design of cards.
Correct. So it got sold out within like 10 minutes or so, or 10,
Whoa.
15 minutes.
People love Hatsune Miku.
Yeah,
apparently.
definitely. So it's like the first half of the Secret Lair was sold out, and then the second half was like leftovers, and then everything else was sold out, I think, after that, I guess. So this is this is the direction of Secret Lair now. Instead of made to order, they just put up like this is while stock lasts instead. This is to me, in my opinion, is a great move. Instead of just watering down your value of your cards, now there is some value to it. You don't want to spend like before any of these like limited run, Secret Lair was like if you pay $40 US for like a set of cards, when it arrives, it becomes like $25.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I paid $40 for retail, and that's the only way you can get them is retail. There's no like trade account or dealer price or whatever. So everybody buys at $40 US, and once you get it, if your cards just single the worth of them is just $25. It just does not make sense.
I see, like stemming the tide of the flood will hopefully like constrict it a bit and make the price of those values jump up.
Correct.
Ideally, right?
A lot of people like want to like have the game to be affordable. I understand that completely. Like affordable card games is really good, but there's also a downside to it. If your cards are really cheap, there's no like meaning to holding the
value.
cards. Yeah, there's no value to it.
The price complaint in Magic is interesting to me because a lot of it can be legitimate, but I also feel like Magic is one of those card games where if you really wanted to get into it as well, it offers you a lot of like budget options. You can really play Magic in a variety of formats within a variety of price structures. A lot of other card games, if you wanted to go in, you're expecting to pay X amount of dollars just to even play it. With Magic, you can really just buy a pre-con or even just pick up random commons and uncommons and you can start playing.
Is that based more on the fact that in other card games there's really one version or format you're playing
Absolutely.
in? Yeah.
There's a wider spectrum of price ranges in Magic. While other
Correct.
card games, you don't actually have that price.
So this is something that why One Piece is winning on is because One Piece offers you the alternative pricing, the same that, but an alternate price because of the just the basic version of it.
We've wrapped up through
Yeah.
this before as well. So I definitely understand that. And I guess it's up to Magic to then like try and push that forward.
Correct. So I definitely think Magic is definitely making changes, and I feel like it's coming back.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a Secret Lair announced that you could only get through US competition. Is that correct?
Correct. That's a Secret Lair Showdown.
Yes.
Those are
I guess that's just the exact push for them. That's what
those are winner cards. Same thing, price cards. So top 16 or top 32, you get like a Ragavan or something like that.
in the similar structure right now of like limited run products, we have Modern Horizons 3 coming around, which is a supplementary set for Magic. It prints cards directly into the modern format, so designed to be of a high power level. Alongside this product, they're also printing 4 Commander decks. And with those 4 Commander decks, they're also the collectible version of those 4 Commander decks that are like even more expensive, designed to be quite collectible, all foils inside of them. I'm not sure if they've announced alternate arts for them as well. There's been a bit of a stir between people because there's people that are like, these collectible Commander decks are stupid. They're priced probably, don't quote me, going to be like $250 for a Commander deck, which sounds like a lot of money for a Commander deck, but it's designed to be a collectible version, right?
Yeah.
But
So I'm curious.
there is a normal version if you don't want to pay for the collector, right?
And the normal version is probably going to hover around the $100 mark.
Yeah. So there's always an option. So, I mean, definitely if it's out of the price range for you, I mean, you can opt for the lower price range version of it, which is great because you still get the same cards.
Well, I think it'd be like there's no way Magic the Gathering, like the company, isn't looking at, like Architect and Moxfield and stuff and looking at the average price of people's average Commander decks. And if they're sitting at $500 to $1,000 US, I don't think they'll have any qualms printing a $200, $300 Commander deck and expecting it to sell. Like it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But for the the 10 or so people making maybe more fiscally financial choices for themselves, there's going to be people that have that income and are happy to come in and pick that up and
Definitely.
and spend it,
It's always like the play boosters versus collector boosters. You can always buy the play boosters instead of the collector boosters. It's just a fancy version and a non-fancy version. Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like Commander precons are really like a budget version or really like affordable way to go into Commander. Just buy like a full precon, buy a pack of sleeves, step it up. You can play Commander right away.
Yeah. Talking about that, like we've had draft run 2 Sundays in a row now.
Yeah.
And while I was supposed to be here for one of the Sundays, I ended up working down at the restaurant while Kane covered my shift for me. So I appreciate that, Kane. Thank you.
No stress. No stress.
So now that we've had 2 drafts run with the play boosters, have you had any feedback on the play boosters or?
Play boosters are wild. It's a very different structure of a draft environment. Back in the day, draft was quite like balanced. You get 1 rare per pack. There wasn't a lot of big spiky up and downs. You could really like play consistently. Play boosters have increased that variance. You have a way higher chance of pulling in like crazy bomb cards, and especially the introduction of like the special guest slot in the packs. Like you can open a pack and it's like
Broco.
Yeah, Oko Thief of Crowns, the most powerful planeswalker ever printed in Magic.
We literally saw someone pull an Oko and then they had to decide whether they were going to keep that Oko in the colors they weren't playing or pick the card that was better for them to draft. And it's crazy that there was a card in there that was better for them to draft than an Oko Thief of Crowns.
But what if you can? It's also a strategy, right? If you're blocking your opponents getting the card,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, it's also
Correct.
that's a $50 card, so if you keep that card, you've just paid for your draft. So
I think it's more fun because the variance introduces more replayability, and you get more of those like. There's a thing in game design which is like the idea of like the emotional peaks, right? The excitement peaks. I think it introduces more of those highs, which counteracts the potential like upset that someone might have because someone else pulled a higher card than you.
Yeah.
So I think generally speaking, for the longevity of a game format, it's more important to prioritize the people that are going to have more fun with it rather than people going to be a little bit more upset that the balancing is there.
Well, we had 10 before draft the first week, and then it was 8 for the second week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's pretty good numbers
Solid
for
numbers
draft,
for draft.
considering that like previous to that, people weren't really interested in running like people vocally were interested in running drafts, but maybe not necessarily like attending, and you can't blame them for that. It's like Karlov wasn't a super like hot drafting format previous to that, and then the play boosters come out, so there is a bit of variation there. So it's like I think this Sunday we're running Highlander instead, first time around.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We've been talking about it on the podcast for like a hot minute now. I've decided to finally go ahead, build my 7-point deck. A bunch of people also build their 7-point decks. I'm really excited to get some games in.
Yeah. So this Sunday I do every second Sunday, while Kang does the second Sunday. And at the moment I'm supposed to go to my son's football games. But this Sunday they've actually, he's got a bye, which is unfortunate timing because it's a Sunday that I've got off. So I was going to say, if you want to play Kang, I'm happy to cover that shift.
That's all right.
Otherwise I'll just come in and play Highlander as well then.
Getting a
essentially.
buy is a win. Yay!
I take great enjoyment in like standing behind someone while they're playing their game and just being annoying.
Yeah. Or we've got that to look forward to.
Exactly.
But then it's like, I think it's been nice, like, because we've been like trying to push draft for quite a while, and as a store, we're trying to push those Magic events where people can like sign onto the Wizards account and we can prove to like Wizards that we're like running regular events and doing those things to try, and we're really aiming and striving to get that WPN premium, and that's really big for us as a store. I think the one thing we have to tackle after that is getting an online web store, which is like something that Kang and I have been daunting for a little bit, but we got to get there. But like running those drafts regularly has been pretty good. So we're going to come back in the following week after Highlander with a retro draft. So John, who's actually on the podcast last week, he's allocated some cool boxes of like cards to us. So we've got some like Time Spiral and some Masters 25, some of the some sets that were like quite well known for being good draft formats. So we're going to have a crack at one of those. I think Time Spiral was the first one off the block.
Yeah, I think we left it to the community to vote for, and they voted for Time Spiral.
Yeah,
That'll be exciting.
Which it's in itself, the Time Spiral remastered set was a revisit of the original Time Spiral set.
Yeah.
Time Spiral was a set that was designed for drafting. So it all kind of lines up nicely as, hey, you want to give this draft format a try, especially if you want to play with old retro gameplay mechanics that really introduces a lot of the power in current day Magic.
Yeah.
Time Spiral Remastered, give it a try.
Well, I'm really keen to like try and do some of those more retro things. Unfortunately, the price has to go up a bit for the draft because we've got to cover the cost of getting a like significantly more expensive set in, like usually buying off a friend or eBay or whatever it is, one of those things. But it does provide an opportunity for people who are then new to the game or looking for something a little bit different to try these retro formats. So there's pretty much no other way for them to like go get boosters for that. Like there's not many places you can be able to go to, especially here in Perth, and get a Masters 25 like booster pack. You know what I mean? Let alone do a whole draft with it.
Cutting back into, you mentioned that it's coming to Perth, the One Piece regionals. It's really a sign of like Perth growing as we get more and more events coming to this side of the country as well.
Yeah, definitely.
In my own little world as well, it's really exciting to see that in the UFC, they're starting to actually have the big fights coming to Perth.
Yeah.
We had the big fight a while back with Alexander Volkanovski, and we had Robert Whittaker here fight in Perth, and they're both like Aussie legends, and it was crazy. It was a huge amount. All my friends talked about going either to like watch it or going to a mate's place to watch it. I know a few people that were working the events, and it was a massive event, and they're coming back to Perth as well. A while back, we also had Coldplay. Like, I think we had last year, we had Coldplay come visit.
Yeah.
Brought a lot of people over east to Perth. So
That's right.
If this is the stage that Perth is starting to take, we're getting more and more entertainment things coming in, I'm super keen, guys.
We're being accepted as a big boy.
Oh,
now.
definitely.
where we actually have things to do now.
We have the locations and stuff. Like the convention hall is great. And the thing is, when I went for the Sydney regionals, the problem is with Sydney, right? Everything is so expensive. So to lease like a hall in Sydney, it probably will be double the price of Perth or something like that, because it's just so expensive, everything there.
Do you prefer Sydney or Melbourne?
I prefer Melbourne.
You like Melbourne?
Yeah, I like
What about
Melbourne.
you, Danny?
I've never been to Sydney.
Interesting.
I've covered all of the East a significant amount of times, and I've avoided Sydney every time. Not out of like intending to. I just somehow managed to not be in any of those trips or those work trips.
Yeah.
Melbourne's way more fun. When I was a bit younger when I visited over east, but in Melbourne, just remember having significantly more activities.
And like coming back to the space, right? So leasing in Perth is just, it gets you like a really nice location at the fraction of the price.
Yeah.
So that is like, it's great for the players, it's great for the game itself, and it's just comfortable. Like in Sydney, it was really uncomfortable. So it's like, it's really cramped.
Will you get pushed into like a smaller venue where?
No, it's like instead of a table for two, they cram 3 people into the table. So like everybody's just side by side. The playmates.
Wait, so a regular size trestle table, there was three
Yeah,
by 3.
correct.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was
What?
crazy because the space is so small.
Especially as like sweaty nerds aren't always known to be the most like
Hygienic.
looking guys. Like, do you really want to be smushed in with 3 people? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And the problem is the lighting was bad. You know, we're playing card games
Do you remember what venue you were in?
in the town hall, Sydney Town Hall.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, Paddington Town Hall, if it's not mistaken. Yeah.
I also heard Sydney's traffic sucks. Apparently, the roads are a nightmare.
I guess Sydney's a proper city though. Like anybody in any
Melbourne's
countries.
a problem as well.
Yeah.
No different.
I feel like Melbourne's a bit more like, from what I know anyway, Melbourne's more compact.
Perth is the best.
So you can travel like on foot and by train quite quickly to other places, where Sydney tends to be a little bit more spread out depending on where you're staying. So
This is why everyone in Perth drives like trucks.
We drive 4-wheel drive because of the terrain. It's not because of the traffic.
Is it the same over east then? Everyone just
Nah.
drives because.
Over east is a lot more like sedans and stuff because the terrain is different. We have a lot of like camping, like, you know, going to north. If you go to like
what it is more that you can leave the metro much quicker
Correct.
here in Perth than you can in most other like
Right.
prime cities. Like the fact that where Perth exists, and then you go 25 minutes east and you're in the country, and there's the danger of hitting like kangaroos and like hills and stuff like
Gotcha.
that. That's not very common. Like in Melbourne and Sydney, and even in like Brisbane, they've put that metro's pushed out quite far, and it pushes like the road dangers and like, I don't know, the countryside further away from where you started essentially.
Yeah,
Whereas WA, you can literally 25 minutes east from our very middle point of our city, and you're now up a hill through the countryside, and there's, like kangaroos, which is our equivalent of deers. Like, you probably should have a bull bar if you're traveling 100 kilometers.
we don't have to go far. We're Northern Board is just like maybe 5 minutes away. Just going to the bushland.
Yeah.
Well, then the hills start developing. I forget that we actually have hills if you leave the city area. I was driving my little Toyota Yaris, and you go up like a little steep hill, and you're like, "Ooh, man, I hope my car
it's not made
holds."
for it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
So it's great. I'm excited for the regionals to come to Perth. Pokemon's already came to Perth, so like this is a great opportunity for like Perth to shine, which I really hope that we could make the numbers and make this event a really good one.
I think card gamers are eating quite good right now. We seem to have hit like a stride in the recent few years of like all these new card games, so many options to play, and a lot of card games coming out with a lot of support at the moment. So like you can really take your pick on what card game you enjoy playing.
Well, it doesn't like go past the site that in the same year that Magic the Gathering has its first like Commander event, proper one run here in WA is the same one. They're pushing for One Piece, and the same year they're trying to like bring like the Wizards competitive format. It's like, these things come together in circles because they're popular, and it's like pushing forward. They do feed off each other, like we saw with the Fallout stuff. There was a few people from One Piece who would buy cards from Fallout. There's lots of people when they come in now, they're regular Magic players, they're pushing over to One Piece because there is people the lines aren't as drawn as they used to be. It used to be very heavily like everybody was on their thing, and it was very defensive about that. The tabletoppers didn't play with the Magic with the card gamers, and there used to be this huge division. But I think those walls have really been breaking down a lot. As the casualness of these games become more popular.
Yeah. If you play that card game, that's your card game. You'll defend it.
Yeah,
your card game sucks. My card game is better.
The crazy bit is you'd see people, over the last 10 or so years, you'd see people go down with the ship with card games that are very clearly not like they're literally not in print, they're not in game anymore. You see it now, like a lot of the FFG games, like the Fantasy Flight Games is a producer of tabletop games, and in the past they've had things like X-Wing and Armada, like very Star Wars driven things, and they used to have Keystone, which is very popular.
Keyforge, you mean?
Keyforge, and these are hugely popular games, selling quite well. And then
Keyforge is back on Kickstarter though.
Is it back on Kickstarter?
Do people play Keyforge?
And then Keyforge is like it's already funded. Like
do people want to play Keyforge?
It was really popular, like hugely popular.
It was really popular.
And I don't know if it's where we've talked about it before. I think in a bit where it's like FFG either loses the contract to that, and that's part of like the big thing of owning your own IP, because you don't have to contract your own IP, obviously, right? But like they'll lose that, or they'll just lose interest, or maybe it's not hitting enough sales to provide to their shareholders, and that game disappears, and you'll have someone who spent 10 years heavily investing. And Keyforge was a big one like that, where they heavily invest into that, and that just goes away, and you can pretend like it's still going, but the minute the support stops and the shops and the clubs stop running events, it starts to go down quite a hill. And like people talk about that with Warhammer Fantasy back in the days, like when 8th edition was killed off with the End Times, so the Games Workshop like really went through this big finalization process where they wrote down all the stories, they killed off a lot of the main characters. They tried to make this really cool like explosion event where they ended that world, that universe, and that was the end. It was like it was like the Marvel End Time, except actually everybody died instead of them like miraculously surviving, right? And people could say for like, oh, the game's not actually dead. Like you've still got your rule books, you've still got your miniatures, you can keep playing on, and like no one can stop you doing that. While that is actually totally correct, as soon as the new models stop leaking through and like rules updates start coming, you get divisions of like players who are like, well, we want this like revised rule set, and we're going to play very purist, and we're going to play this rule set. And then you've got people like, well, we need a 9th edition, so so by the time within 4 years of Fantasy ending, you had 4 or 5 different groups of players who were heavily committed to the version that they wanted to play. And really, I think the Old World coming back has really proven like, even if Old World isn't the best version of Warhammer Fantasy play, now that there's direction and like somebody who can stand there and say like, we're the official word on this, even some of those rules that maybe aren't as good as they could be, people are okay with that because at least everybody's on board with the same version of it. And you go like, there's a definitive like, well, this is how it should be because these people have said it. And it's crazy as like human beings that we need, we like to be independent and do our own things, but at the end of the day, we need Big Papa Games Workshop to come in and be like, no, this is how you do it. You know what I mean? And like, but it's the how popular it's come back is very clear.
Speaking about Warhammer Fantasy, you came in with a cool little book over there that says Warhammer Fantasy. What is that?
Well, I thought as we're pushing more and more to like getting to a visual part of this game, and D&D and Dungeons & Dragons being such a big popular space for us, I would love to get to a position where we could maybe record like D&D sessions.
Have you played any pen and paper role playing?
I have done. I've played Pathfinder before.
Okay.
So
you jumped the gun into like the harder version. Most people start with like D&D because it's easy and accessible.
I didn't even know that was the case.
Yeah, because Pathfinder was made as an offshoot of D&D 3.5, and it was designed to like reintroduce a lot of like role playing and character building mechanics in, and Pathfinder has become its own as like quite in-depth. You can get crazy strong and crazy in-depth with your character creation in Pathfinder, while D&D is a little more like you kind of progress on this kind of path, and it's more about the role-playing side of things.
I have not played D&D.
Yeah. I played D&D.
How are you going to do it if you don't read books? We're gonna have to read the book for
Yeah,
you.
someone
Yes.
that just tells him how to play.
William
Just
and
give
I
me-
can play a warrior that's conjoined at the like we're conjoined twins essentially. And
Nice.
Just give me a
I'll read
stats
the
card.
You can be like the two-headed ogres.
You know, like how Warhammer give you like this, like a data sheet card.
data
Yeah.
sheet, yeah.
Just give me that. Like, to attack, I need to roll 4+.
Don't
4+.
worry, you won't be the first one because I've been a DM for like when I was younger and had more time. I was a DM like solidly for like
Younger,
6-7
bro.
years.
How old are you, bro?
Well, you know, sub 30. All right, I'm in
It's
the sub
old man
30
Kang.
club
Come
over
on,
here.
everybody knows old man Kang.
Yeah, man. I can't wait for my walking stick, you know. But yeah, when I was younger and I was doing a lot of like game mastering or DMing as it's called for D&D. You won't be the first one, William, because every time I'll have to teach people, they'll come in and I'll be like, "How much of the rules do you know?" And they're like, "All I know is that it's called Dungeons and Dragons."
That's right. That's me.
Sit down. This is going to be a while.
Well, the reason
So-
I picked this was because I'm already really invested into the Warhammer Fantasy world. So whether I ended up being the GM, at least I've got a lore background that I can feed off of. But this the book that we've gone to is the Warhammer Fantasy version of it, and they have a fully fleshed out written campaign, and this is the director's cut
What's it
version
called?
of that campaign. Shadows Under Something.
Okay.
Wait, what about Hero Quest? Is it like a roleplay RPG as well?
It's a board game-ish.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of role playing, but it's mostly just a board game.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Gloomhaven or something where it's intended to be played over like a short stint of time.
Right.
Do you know what character you want to make?
Well,
Have you
It's-
dived in and had a look at the rules or what you can make?
me being me, it'd be hard not to like go like the warrior kind of
Nice.
class.
What
kind of
race
thing,
though
right?
in Warhammer Fantasy?
I'm a real like when I played.
Can I be Archaon?
No, what? That's so OP, bro. What?
Well, you just said it's a role playing game.
Yeah, you can't roleplay as.
Yeah, but you understand what the concept of D&D is, though,
omnipotent
right?
being.
Like you're
You're
a group of
William
like
is-
you're insignificant people
Yeah, you
like
level
going
up.
out to like.
You're level 1 adventurer.
Oh, so pretty much is the Archaon is like an NPC.
Arcane would be like level 99.
Yeah, in this.
Can I be like a young Archaon, like the young Sauron?
You know what this is?
coming up?
This is when I was a few years back. Me and my mates started the Wrath and Glory campaign. It's the Warhammer 40,000 role playing game, Wrath and Glory, and we were all writing out our characters. And I rolled myself out as like I'm going to be a Necromunda ganger. And my mate's like, "Oh, I'm going to be an Imperial Guardsman. I'm going to be a Commissar." And one of my mates comes in and is like, "I'm a Space Wolf Space Marine."
That's what I think.
And it's like, what the fuck, bro? We're regular humans and you're in the Stardies, bro. So,
Just make sure,
Primaris.
but he's confused. He's got a concussion and he's lost all his armor. And
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. And
yeah,
an arm.
Steel would be like 17 levels ahead of us. So,
I think William's mistaking roleplay for like a bedroom roleplay. Like we're not pretending to be a character that exists. We're supposed to create our own character.
So like I said, so
So you can
Archaon
be
is like an
RK off if
NPC.
you want to be.
the Kmart version Arcane.
So pretty much like in World of Warcraft, is it like World of Warcraft?
Yeah, so the whole idea is
So-
you start as your own character and you can brush up against like really big like written name characters and stuff like that as like
So the
passers by.
NPC, right?
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Okay,
You
fair
could
enough.
have a
Fair
hell
enough.
cool backlore, like you're like a chaos, like wastelander.
So
who,
I'm like a chaos acolyte.
you're like a chaos acolyte who like I don't know. Zinch has talked to you and said that you will become Archaon and you need to go out and fulfill your destiny to become Archaon rather
Right.
than just be Archaon.
Yeah.
right. You gotta get creative with it, right?
Is this like oval, right? Not like
Yes.
the Stormcast shit, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
tell us how
what,
you
what
really
do you want to
think.
be? So you want to be a warrior?
I'd probably go warrior. Yeah, it's hard not
what
to be.
race though?
Okay, as a purist who likes to really get into the roleplay part of it, I'd probably have to be a human.
Can you be a squig?
It wouldn't be much role playing if you're
Wait,
squid.
can you imagine people the whole roleplay thing together and William is just a squeak the entire time? every session for like 6 months, it's just William being a squeak.
Hey, wait, hold on.
No, that would be the easy mode. He doesn't have
Wait.
to read any rules.
Hold on.
Okay.
If I'm a squig, I can grow.
Why do you want to be a squig, William?
Bro, I can grow to like the giant squig.
Yeah, there's gargantuan squigs.
Again, I'm not sure.
I got like horns and
I'm
stuff.
not sure if you're quite getting the concept of this. William, I know you don't read books or do like a lot of things, but you've played like a roleplay game before. Like you've played WoW. You understand
Yeah,
that,
so I'm
how that
like
works.
I can be like a small squig, and then when I level up, I become this giant squig that can now you guys can like tell me like, hey, go like.
So you're like
attack.
a Pokemon. You're essentially going to roleplay as one of our Pokemon.
Not really.
That's funny. In the
I can be
battle,
like a
we
tech.
throw him.
You know, like a hunter, right? In World of Warcraft, you have
Yeah.
like a beast mastery, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like that beast.
Why don't you just be the beast
I
master?
guess you
and
could
not-
be like a druid that like forms into a squig.
I don't
Yeah.
want to shapeshift. And then people was like, I don't want people asking me to heal. So it's like, hey William, heal me. I'm like, no, I want to like tank.
So when we get to like,
don't talk though.
you know, we get to a tavern or something, and like your job is to like go question the innkeeper. You just go up and like,
No, we can't let William into the tavern. We have to.
Like
we have
an
to be like
angry
stay
pig.
outside.
Wait.
We gotta talk to humans.
He's gonna
What?
pay for his boarding in the kennel.
What about? I'm like a high intelligence squig.
Okay.
Look,
Proceed. Sell me on this idea.
Okay, wait. Hold
Actually,
on.
I'm gonna be like a DM, right? When I was a DM and my players would come up with like characters.
They're gonna yes and
if
right?
they really wanted to like game it and be like, hey, can I do this? I would always be like, you need to sell me on the idea.
Okay.
In the context of this world, sell me on the idea.
All right. So somebody made like a intelligence potion, and then like
Yeah.
it dropped off like one of the carts or something.
Yeah.
And then it dropped off near the squig nest.
Nice.
And then the potion sip into the squig eggs or whatever.
Okay.
And then this squig was
eggs.
it hatches and then it could talk. because-
Now William's getting it. Now William's
Yeah?
getting,
Yeah?
You know what? He's getting closer
Okay.
to that D&D style of role playing. I get it now.
So this squig is intelligent. It could converse.
Have you guys seen those videos where people 3D print like arms for ducks?
Yeah.
And it
Oh,
goes
yeah.
and it goes over the top. That's what I like. So there's these videos where people 3D print arms and it goes on almost like a headband that goes over the back of the duck. So when the duck's running around, it looks like it's got two little arms flopping about. That's what I imagine that the squig is. So we've got to like we're gonna have to attach like little like fake arms to either side of him so he can hold things.
this squig has magic face.
Has magic face.
Because it's intelligent, right?
This is really becoming like a Rocket and Groot situation.
Oh, true.
yeah. See, it makes sense.
Every time I write myself a character.
It could converse. So now we can go on a quest together.
Gotcha.
So it's like a sir squig.
Yeah. If we're selling you on this, if William is selling you on his high intelligence squig, and you want to see this this role playing, this Warhammer Fantasy RPG campaign happen, let us know.
Yeah. Let us know let us know what
sir.
color squig you want him to be. Let us know like how big of tusks he needs to have.
All right. If you guys say it, I'll paint it. How about that?
Whoa, okay.
It's a rare occasion that I paint, but I'll paint this squig. If the DM allows me to play this intelligent squig, I'll play it.
I always tell myself that I won't write a super edgy like character, but I'll like write in my character, have a whole backstory. I'd be like, this is really cool, and I read it and be like, oh, I just wrote Sephiroth. This is just like another like classic edgelord.
I think I could ask like ChatGPT to make out the story. So just give
that's
the gist
lame.
and then just make up the story.
That's
I don't
like
want to write
yourself.
shit. I don't
Come
want to
on,
write
get
shit.
creative.
I just asked ChatGPT
That's
to
what
write
everyone
me the
did
story.
for the Old World League.
Yeah.
What, ChatGPT?
Yeah, apparently.
There's a few in there.
Okay.
You can see.
Well, you're talking about painting, and we just had Best in the West.
Yes. We had the guys from all the good painters from Best in the West came to Northern Boards the other day.
You hear that first take. If you weren't here, you weren't a good painter, according to William.
I didn't say that.
You said all the good painters.
All the good painters. All the top. What? Okay.
You can't bail yourself out now,
Wow.
William.
Well, most of them won. Okay, so I'll say it. But
What was your favorite piece? What was your favorite piece on the day? I haven't gone through and seen the pictures yet, but I'm curious to see.
there's a
It's usually
lot
Best in the
though.
West.
There is like 138.
So Perth Games
entries.
Workshop's been posting photos up over the past couple of days.
crazy.
Quite a few entries. Yeah.
Very nice, to be honest. It's a lot of good, really well painted stuff.
So I'll see you Best in the West with your squig. Done deal.
Maybe not. It's gonna be odd.
Is your squig going to wear like a costume? Is it going to have like a uniform?
No, it's just intelligent.
Just intelligent.
Yeah, intelligent. So it knows what to do to level up.
Not intelligent enough to be sun smart and wear a hat though.
I'm sold on this idea. I want to have a read of the
It
story.
has like hardened scales, so it doesn't need to.
Warhammer Fantasy is going to be...
It's just a squig that plays magic cards.
and sells them as well.
That's how so it's a Pokemon inside of Warhammer Fantasy, but it plays like Yu-Gi-Oh, where he provides cards and that's the abilities that he does.
And he's also a businessman that sells the cards and wears a top hat.
Instantly, all of our characters are broke because we've had bought all this shit off.
Well, I'm curious where the balancing lies, like, because Warhammer Fantasy can get pretty crazy with its balancing. So, like a level 1 adventurer in Warhammer Fantasy universe, you go out and like an ogre just punches you in the face, you die, right?
Yeah, true.
Game over.
The first adventure, you just find a dragon,
Yeah.
and you get stabbed in the face. You're like, oh.
It's like in Skyrim when you walk out and you see one of these giants and you're like level 3, you're like, let's give it a try. And it sends you to orbit.
The minute it starts running at you.
Because you're like, I can kill a dragon, right? Clearly I can fight a giant.
Man, that brings some memories back of like playing Skyrim when it first came out. And like, you think you're pretty good, and you wander just the wrong spot, and like one of those snow trolls just gets you, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, reminds you again that you're like, oh yes, level 1.
And you get just punched off the side of a mountain.
Yeah. There's no greater sobering moment than like playing Dark Souls for the first time when I was quite young. Not quite young. I keep saying that, but it's not, I was in my teenagers. I was like, Dark Souls 1 came out in what? I'm gonna randomly say Dark Souls 1 probably came out in 2013, 2012 maybe.
Sure.
Playing Dark Souls for the first time, and back then, video games can be a power fantasy, and Dark Souls really presented that this isn't a power fantasy. You have to learn from your mistakes. Like, this is the world. You have to develop your own skills and get better at the game.
You're not going to luck your way through it eventually.
Yeah, and I played Dark Souls for the first time, walked up to a skeleton and tried to fight it, and it just like stabbed me. And it's like, bitch. So,
oh, dear.
So I like the pen and paper role-playing games a lot. Back when I used to DM, I used to try and introduce, because I do like challenges. I do like to challenge my players. Every DM has their own play style.
So just to recap again, right? Mm-hmm. Is it really possible to have that intelligence squig?
I would have to read the rules.
Yeah, like my level of research into it has been buying the book.
Yeah.
I would say no, but it's not in there. Definitely not in there. But there's no reason we can't formulate. It's the whole point is role play, right? So we can come up with something.
All right.
I'm sure maybe there's a dwarf, and you reskinned something small. There'll be. I imagine there'll be
DLC.
What are those little people called? Like hobbit kind of people. Gnomes or
squats. No, that's dwarves.
That's 40K, bro.
I'm sure there'll be a halfling which will have the right stature of what you need to be as a thing, and we can just rebuild that character as a smart squig.
Yeah.
The whole point is roleplay, right? We can come up with anything we want.
Right.
The pen and paper system is quite versatile because a lot of content creators are really on top of like making Dungeons and Dragons role-playing content. People have just taken D&D rules and you can play anything. It doesn't have to be fantasy at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I watch a lot of content where it's like D&D, but it's set in like an 80s high school, for example.
Interesting.
And like every player is just like a different person in the classroom or whatever. Or it's like they taken D&D and they made it Stranger Things.
Well, what I really struggle with is to do any hobbies and not feel guilty about doing it. So if I can create things to be work, which is why I started the Warhammer Fantasy League, because I just needed some excuse to be able to play Warhammer Fantasy. If I'm just playing fantasy by myself or like on my own time, I will feel endless amounts of guilt that I should be doing something different. But if I create it as a work thing, which is why I like the podcast here, because I like to sit down with my friends and hang out and chat, and I don't feel like I'm not that I'm wasting my time with my friends, but it's like I need to be able to force like a structure to it. Like the ADHD means I need to like do it each week. I need to do it at a certain time, and I don't feel bad. I don't feel like I should be doing something else, because really I should always be doing some other admin nonsense doing these things, right? So if I can create our role play D&D group and we play like once a fortnight or something, now it's work. Now I can do things. So that's the strategy.
Okay. Sign me up.
Plus the book is, super shiny and looks nice.
We'll check it out later.
They're really good at making like really cool
squig.
books now.
Well, I like this. This is again, this is why I was kind of looking at this one was like I didn't want to create too much additional work for us, because I know like Kang and I and William are already doing 100 other things. So I didn't want to expect to have like, hey, I'm going to do a D&D thing, and now Kang has to go right. Spend 6 hours a week writing a whole new campaign. So this is a pre-formatted campaign. We just have to come up with our characters, and then we can like play that along. And I also wanted to try and starting looking at what we can do as additional content for the podcast as a group. I think if we did like a role play thing, we're going to have to look at maybe at least 2 other people that can also fit in at times that we can do it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Like, it's pretty fun. It's always something I wanted to do. Like since I played Pathfinder nearly probably 6 to 8 years ago, whenever it was, I've always wanted to get back into something like that. And this feels like a really nice wrapped in thing where we can do Warhammer Fantasy. It's already part of the club that we do here. I've got a good understanding of the lore, and we can kind of dive back in. And from what I could see, there's a few guys doing the Warhammer Fantasy stuff, but with how good the campaign and like the accolades that it's got, there doesn't seem to be a lot of content creators using that. And while the D&D thing is very popular to make content around now, it seems like, this might be a little thing that we can like edge our way into. So don't steal my fucking ideas.
Did you always play Warrior? Even in Pathfinder?
I feel like my personality like drives the warrior like memento, you know.
Comes
like,
from the World of Warcraft days.
yeah, like
The
my
guild days.
I want to be the goob.
my Pathfinder character, my teammates ended up chaining my sword to my gauntlet because I would kept throwing my sword at the start of battle to try and get someone in the face. So they chained it to my arm, so when I threw it, at least it wouldn't go too far. And I just like that, like you know, you can gun ho straight in there.
I wouldn't expect William to become the comedic relief character.
I'm the squig.
He's both this talking squig, but also he's the one who keeps us on track. He can just snuffle his way along like a bloodhound.
It's like the what's it called? The what's that word? Like a
Spaghetti.
No. Yeah.
Macaroni.
like
give
a
us context, please.
like a wizard squig. As wizard squig.
You're casting magic now?
Well, it's intelligence, right?
Oh my god.
I imagine that
power game now.
it'll come out of its mouth kind of like a
Hadouken.
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
So, and because it's a squig, it has like aggression as well. So you can like it's like a battle mage. How about that? Does it?
Do you have arms?
Well, you don't need arms. Battle, you just chom chom chom. Battle mage, you have like toss and stuff.
So it's
Yeah.
I do like the idea of as it's biting you in half. You're like, is he casting magic? it's hard to tell as he ripped my arm off.
It's like he gets to attack and also cast spells. 2 in 1.
Do you play much board games? Just
No.
outside of pen and paper, board games in general.
Not really. Like maybe like fast board games, like
Gotcha.
not like RPG style.
I've in the past I've fallen down the rabbit hole of, and I'm still paying to it now, where like every few months or so, a new Kickstarter will arrive to my door, and I'm like, oh shit, when did I pay for this?
Then you start scrolling through your bank account to see where it's debited out. I'm like, fuck.
And they always arrive these giant cardboard boxes because I always splurge and get the highest version possible. And now, like the corner of my room is just cardboard boxes I haven't opened up.
You can open like a mini store selling like Kickstarter stuff.
You should do a blind box sale of stuff. Of boxes. That
Yeah, but I'm
not
a
gonna
hoarder,
open.
and what if I give away something I want? You know?
you don't know what you want if you don't know what you have,
Yeah.
right?
Leave it in the corner long enough and you forget what it is. William's
Yeah.
right. Like, yeah.
Just take the back stuff. Just put it here.
Yeah, and every single one of these Kickstarter board games is just full of minis that I'll never paint. Yeah. But if we do this Warhammer Fantasy thing, it'll be really cool for our own characters that we get 3D printed, or we find one that relates and we all paint it. Yours is really easy to paint.
Yeah, we've got.
It can be difficult to paint.
I guess.
I'll get like the Fortune one, giant squig.
Each of us will paint our own minis. We'll play with it. Look at that.
William's playing a full size giant squig. We've got just like little character models. And it's just like this thing that's like
It
a foot
scales.
high.
It scales.
All right. I'll buy the small squig first, and then like once I level up, use the big squig.
William comes in every week with it. He's 3D printing it and repainting it, and it's just getting like a millimeter big every time until we notice that it's massive.
It's like
The continuity of his squig.
smart squig, and then it has a robe.
You have a name? What's his name?
Squig.
You're like a Pokemon.
So you're smart enough to cast wizard, but not smart enough to come up with a fucking
It's like
name.
Groot. I am Groot, and this is like I am Squig.
It's like a Pokemon. It's like Squirtle. What's your name?
Squig.
Squirtle.
Squig.
Squig.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So aside from the fact that you are now a battle squig, are you actually interested in doing it?
Yeah, if I can be a battle mage, not battle squig, Danny, it's a battle mage.
Okay, but just happen
Battle
to be a
mage
squig.
squig.
Okay.
It's a high intelligence squig because squig, if we put it like a base squig, it's just like battle, right?
Yeah, it's a terrible
But
idea.
now,
Yeah.
now it has intelligence, so it can think, make moves, make strategy.
I think the most important thing is that they can talk or at least communicate. Maybe
course,
even
you
if
can
it's
tell me.
telekinesis, but like at least as long as you can talk.
yeah, it definitely can talk because it's high intelligence. That's what we want, right?
Because it's a circle. A squig is like for anyone who doesn't
ball.
even know what this is, a squig is a Warhammer Fantasy creature that is essentially a space hopper. It's like red and it looks like a space hopper, and it was originally designed in like the 70s as a joke character that goes along with goblins, and it runs along the goblins and like it's basically just a space hopper with teeth.
It's a meatball with legs
Yeah. So when
and teeth. It's a meatball with legs and teeth.
So when you think of like a D&D character, there's like a wizard and a hero and an archer and druid, and then William's proposing that he is a meatball with legs. So we're just trying to function a way that he can like actively work.
Yeah,
because I'm not
definitely.
really sure a squig will have, because it's just completely circular. Does it have like a throat or a tract so
No.
that it can like communicate. So you might
I'm
have
not
to be
going to try to think too hard.
Probably just
telekinesis.
telekinetic then.
Yeah.
You know when you read good fantasy books, like
William doesn't.
yeah, William does not read books. But anyway, Danny, right? When you read a good book, when you're a kid and you're like, I hell wish this was a video game. Pen and paper role playing really gives you the opportunity to take these universes and turn it into a game you can play.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's the closest you're ever going to get.
And I think that's the biggest benefit of people already going to something with a lot of imagination and like, that concept of what they want to create. This is the perfect situation for that. Before we get off the book situation though, I have an update from last week. So you know how Spotify said that I'd run out of time to read my book, right? I said, well, last week, William, you listened to this podcast, right? You did? So you remember what I'm talking about? No, I'm quizzing you.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
How much of the podcast did you listen to?
The first 20, 30 minutes.
That's absolute horseshit, William.
He listened to us just fail spectacularally at the intro and he clicked off.
Okay, well, I had an issue with my Spotify because they've put books on Spotify and I was listening to the audiobook on Spotify. And then in the second last chapter of the book, I'd run out of time. And so it says if you want to listen to the rest of the book, you've got to pay for additional time. So then you can go to the Spotify website and get a listening audiobook top up. And that top up is $15 for 10 hours. So I only had 2 chapters left. So I went and supported the small family business of Amazon and I bought the book on Amazon for $15. Now I own the book and I listened to the last 2 chapters because there's no way I was paying $15 for 15 hours or 10 hours of listening.
Spotify has not got to figure it out.
Yeah,
that's not a pricing structure that's competitive to Audible at all.
Absolutely not at all. So it's like I went on, I bought that book and the next book in the series for like a credit each, and a credit's worth essentially $15 Australian. But I was like, how does $15 equate to 10 hours of listening? And they've I guess because it's quite a new addition maybe to the audiobook section of Spotify, it would just constantly crash. It just constantly crashes. And you can't go back in and find the chapter and stuff like that very easily. Like it just crashes out all the time. So I was like, if I'm going to support one major conglomerate over one other major conglomerate, at least I'll support the one where it works.
And this is why William doesn't read books.
Yeah, but I'm reading. It was The King's Assassin. It's written by Robin Hobb, and really good. It's actually really good. I think I'm a bit late to the party because she's got the author has 15 books and it's quite well known.
It's audiobook. You didn't even read.
Well, I listened to it.
That's not reading.
Well, come on, if I can read my book while driving the truck, I'll do that. All right, but at the
listening
moment, for human safety in my area, I'll listen to the book instead.
Okay.
All right, you're kidding now, gentlemen. I'm excited to get this role playing thing going. I've always been keen for more pen and paper. I'll go back, workshop my character. I'll come in next episode.
Yeah,
I don't even need to think that. I already got it.
Pitch.
I already got it, bro.
So I'll present you
my
my
squig
pitch.
is ready.
Kane can come in. He's a snotling, which is like a little midget, a
goblin,
goblin,
green goblin guy. So
and then you're a squig. It's perfect.
And then you're like, what?
I'll be a cactus. I'll stick along.
We are nailing
what other
gentleman.
nonsensical creatures can I be?
Oh, we are nailing this, gentleman. All right.
It can be an orc, orc.
Yeah. And we'll just Spotify is rolling around in the mud.
And if an orc stands
what do
very
you mean
still,
role
it becomes
play?
a cactus.
Fucking hell.
All right.
See?
Catch you later, guys.
See ya.
Next episode. You want to say goodbyes? Goodbyes, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.